quick reflection on last night, first of all. A good performance, and you made a lot of changes, but a win can only do the power of good, can't it, confidence-wise?
Yeah, it was a good performance, and I always feel that eventually it'll come if you continue to work the way you're supposed to work. And good. I think we didn't make a big deal out of the defeats because we know we're still going to progress, and we're not going to make too much of a big deal of a win. We just continue now and look forward to Tottenham.
A bit concerning, though, the injuries that you picked up. Can you give us an update on the likes of Aaron Ramsey and Halmar Ekdal?
Yeah, there was a little bit of a cost to this game, but I think a number of players are not going to be available for Saturday. It's fair to say, but I think the key thing is we avoided probably the extremely severe injuries, and we feared for some of them that it would be, especially Ekdal, that it could be severe, and in the end it's just going to be a normal rehab, but it kind of rules him out for the weekend, of course.
Vitinho?
VT we're still assessing as we speak, so we'll see.
As you say, it's been a tough start, hasn't it? 2 home games, yet to play away from home in the league. It's a bit skewed, isn't it, that? Which is strange, but Tottenham, another side who are under a new manager. What are you expecting from them, and how do you prepare for them?
There's no such things as easy games in this league, so I think you've got to try and prepare in the best way you think you can get a result. And like I said, our team shows signs of having something really interesting, something to look forward to, and we continue to build on that. Whether it's Tottenham or any other opposition, for us, we're focused on our own improvements, and we still think that we can get a result against Tottenham, of course.
And no Harry Kane to face. Is that a bonus?
I don't have to face anyone. I'm the manager.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
One concern, you have been conceding a few early goals, which always makes it an uphill struggle, and probably psychologically is damaging for players.
I think you play against good teams, and they punish you whenever you give them the opportunity to, and I think that's the learning I go through, obviously, together with the staff every game that we play. And I'd be worried if it were things that I thought we couldn't solve as a staff, with a group of players that we have. But I think that it is solvable. That there are solutions, there are things and habits that we have in our game that we just need to recover that can prevent these moments from happening. But you play against good sides, and those players don't need many chances to score.
I think you were quoted after the Aston Villa defeat by saying you've not seen anything that with a bit of time and experience we won't be able to fix.
Yeah.
And the jump from the Championship to the Premier League is the biggest jump in world football.
Yeah.
Can you see them handling that? Because it is enormous.
I think it's a question for every club that gets promoted. And as you see, the likes of Fulham and I think it was Fulham, Nottingham Forest, and I'm forgetting one, managed. Yeah, you've got it.
The season before.
Yeah, because obviously the season was that Fulham, Forest, and
who came up?
Who came up and said it's like a. Hang on a second, we're not continuing without having the answer to that. Bournemouth.
And your mind goes blank.
Yeah, Bournemouth. So now the only thing I wanted to say is the clubs who went up last season were obviously successful in doing so. But if you look at the 3 or 4 seasons that they've had before that, there's a lot of investment that went into those squads. So there's a high price to have a seat at the table. And we're trying to do just the same in terms of making the team as ready as we can to give ourselves a chance. But I don't think there's anything you can do in one transfer window to close the gap between the Championship and the Premier League. So hopefully we'll just gel as a team, as a club, to the level that's necessary to get the results.
And that tough start continues even after the international break. I know you probably don't look that far ahead, but after Forest away, it's Man United at home and Newcastle away and Chelsea at home. You've been served a difficult number there, haven't you?
I think I'd prefer it that way.
Really?
Yeah. Because those games can all come 10 games into the season or 15 games into the season, and you could be as good as you want to be. It doesn't mean you're going to get results. So for me, I think the key is still on getting better as quick as we can and facing the top sides early. For me, I don't have a problem with that. And as long as emotionally we don't let ourselves get dragged too much into a hype if we do succeed to get results, or too much into drama if we don't succeed to have results, I think this team has got enough to have something to look forward to. It's a really enjoyable team to coach. There's not one moment in the game where I haven't enjoyed being, with these guys, and that's a good base.
The transfer window remains open for another 24 hours or so. Any more business that you can see? Any areas that you want to strengthen? I suppose, as the first few games given you more food for thought. Yeah,
I mean, possibly it's a little bit of a Rubik's Cube always when you do the squad plan, because you have to look at it in many dimensions. There's the short-term needs that are always the priority, but then as well the long-term needs for the club. And I think we've done a good job in terms of recruiting players that the club can look forward to, building on. But in the end, I think right now, if we can get something that we had a little bit of a scare with the injury of Ekdal and Vitinho, so we were looking out for that. But if it's not too bad, then I think we're just going to bring in players, I think, that can either strengthen us directly or players that can come and support for the future. But it's got to be those extremes.
So you do have those irons in the fire, because it's late now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not going to be a panic buy situation tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
We don't control when other clubs make their players available. So if a player is available, then we'll always look into it. And I've always said it, any player, I think it's in any club, but I don't know if everybody wants to say it that way, but you're always competing with every player in the world that's available to the club that you're playing with for. And because you always have a duty as a manager and as a club to make the team as the best you can. You can.
Well, we'll have someone here tomorrow, so he might be busy.
We'll see. We'll see.
Don't rule anything out.
Don't rule anything out.
Vinny, it's early on in the campaign, of course, but how are you enjoying life as a Premier League manager, and what new challenges may have presented themselves this time?
I think there's differences. I think definitely the difference is, one, I think the levels, of course, in the Premier League, the demand is I think the highest it can be in world football. But in terms of preparation, you get more time to prepare for Premier League games. If you're in the Championship, you just get hit from all sides, and that makes it definitely different from a coaching perspective. But in the end, spaces are the same, whether you're in the Premier League, in the Conference League, or in Championship. It's the same. The only thing that needs to improve is like the speed and the quality of execution. And this is the best in the world here.
City, Villa, now Spurs. How much are you relishing these battles personally? And is it also enabling your further growth as a manager? Yeah,
I think whenever you're exposed to the highest level, you always grow, you always improve, and I think that's the journey we're on. Myself as a coach, but also the players, and I've seen a club and a group of players that are willing to, go on the front foot and take the fight to everyone we have to, and it's something we really feel passionate about. Okay, we play against big teams, big clubs. But when the game starts, it's 0-0, and we've got to try our best to get the result that we want.
Well, another big team this weekend. Sorry, Vinny. What have you made of a new look Spurs so far this season?
I've been following Ange Postecoglou for a long time. It's the continuation of what he did in Australia, especially a lot of it in Japan as well. That I saw, you can see his team play the same way in Japan, then with Celtic, and now with Tottenham. And then the rest is always time. I think managers like him have got a very clear idea of what they want to achieve, and I suppose it takes a few transfer windows, it takes a few moments to adapt to either the league and the team. But these guys, I think his mentality, his competitiveness is something that will eventually lead to results. I'm quite sure of it, and it just happens to be also I enjoy watching his teams and his games, and I'm sure Tottenham fans will have a lot of fun watching him as well.
Hi, Vinny.
Hi there.
Hello. Just want to talk about your goalkeepers, if I may. What have you made of James Trafford's start to the season? Obviously, Muric started in the cup. What's your thinking there in terms of how you choose a number one goalkeeper?
The same way as for the rest of the squad. Really, like I said, I don't think this is the place. You can go down the road at the top 4, top 5, top 6 clubs that we have in the Northwest, and you can ask questions about who plays and whatnot. But I think at Burnley it's pretty simple. You know, we want to have a competitive squad. Hopefully, if we can, 2 players per position that are really close and can push each other, especially due to their age, because they can both improve still. And it's the same for the goalkeepers, and then we're there to push them. So I don't really make it more difficult than it needs to be, you know.
Just in terms of the transfer market, are you looking for a particular type of player in terms of maybe more leadership in the group?
Yes and no, because leadership, we do have leadership in the group. Maybe not the type maybe that comes to mind when you just observe the squad, but we do have experienced players. We do have leadership in the group. I think as well, what you've got to make sure is that you don't have a fetish about experience and leadership, because there's plenty of experienced players that went down last season and the season before that, you know. So for us, it's a case of having the right profiles first and foremost, and attaching the character to it is always something that we're looking out for, definitely.
Just one more question on the transfer market. One player you have been linked with, Vinny, is Eric Dyer. Is that a possibility? Are those reports accurate?
I don't know, honestly. At this moment in time, if you look at my phone whilst we're speaking, I'll probably get pinged 15 players at the moment, and it's like it's closer to what you experience if you go to the markets in Marrakesh than what you think it is.
I went there in the summer, so yeah, I know what it's like.
So you know what I mean. It's that's how the market behaves more than anything, and we try and stay calm and consistent and you know, have deliberate plan of action, but it just changes constantly at the moment.
Thanks, Vinny. Good luck for Saturday.
Hi, Sonny. Sorry, I didn't know you were here. Nice to see you.
Here you go. Hi, Vinny. Okay. Just want to ask a question about Sander Berge, that at Sheffield United towards the end of last season, he was playing kind of more further forward, and he got a little bit more success out of that. Out of the 2 games that you've obviously played him, have you any idea where you're going to play him further forward, or?
No, like I said, I think those are discussions for down the road. Liverpool, United, City, you can ask all the questions about plays and positions and who's best. I think for us, they play where we need them to play. And they know. We're rarely going to be favourites in games this season, and we need to be flexible to try and give ourselves any sort of little advantage we have. So we're not building the team around any one player and his favourite position. We're always putting the team in such a shape that we think we have a chance to win the game. That's our only priority.
And as of last night, and the fixtures that you have coming into, obviously this game and then the ones before, we obviously touched upon that it was quite a hard run. So how much of a confidence booster was it to A, get the win and B, a clean sheet after obviously conceding 3 in the first 2?
Yeah, look, the biggest thing for me is when you review a game is are there things that are fixable, you know, like in one of the first games, you know, there's a goal from Haaland, you know, I mean, is it fixable? Maybe not, you know, that one, but then you look at the other things, you know, is it coachable, is it fixable? And especially for me as well, my experience even last season, because for those who were there, it was a story of a lot of games as well in the beginning of last season in the Championship. But from our experience as coaches, we feel like, okay, it's just making sure we review it, making sure we put in the training content, making sure that we, follow through on demanding from players to progress in certain areas. And then with a level of consistency, you do see improvement. I think the clean sheet we had yesterday, for example, when we played at Forest, was probably due to the fact that we had those 2 games before where we could actually show to the players like this, you know, these areas we've got to pay more attention to. For example, the speed of transitions and counters in the Premier League is a totally different speed than the Championship. So we can warn them as much as we want before the season, because we obviously knew it before we got into the league. But until it really happens, you don't really believe it, or you don't find the tools as a player yourself. And so we're really big on that. And our team is filled with players who got loads of margin to improve. They just need to be willing to work hard, and they are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sonny.
About 2 minutes after we spoke to you last night, we saw you got Salford in the next round of the Cup. What was your reaction to that draw?
I think this is what the Cup is about. You go and play Salford away, and different ground, different environment, good away day for the fans. We've been lucky to have 2 decent Cup runs last season. So, we know it's something the fans enjoy.
Are you pleased with the squad depth you've got at the moment, because you made those changes last night and not too much change in the performance levels?
It depends. It always depends as a coach. I think as long as there's teams that are better than us, we always need to look to see if we can find a way to help the team get better as well. Whatever we can do to improve that. So, but I'm calm in terms of knowing that we've built a solid base, and then anything we add hopefully makes it only stronger. If we're not able to make it stronger, then probably it's better to keep it that way, and unless maybe one or the other young player comes in just to again support the next players coming through in the future.
Yeah, there's been talk of a lot of players coming in, but is there any chance of players maybe leaving before the deadline tomorrow night?
It's not something we've discussed at this moment in time, and as well, you have to look at our situation from last season. We lost 6 loan players, so to replace those loan players, let's say whatever the Premier League fees for a normal standard. I mean, you see them going through on Sky every single day. What's the value of a Premier League player nowadays, especially if it's a starting player? We lost, of these 6, maybe 4 or 5 of them were starting players for us last season. So first we had to spend to replace them to get to the same level as last season, and then we had to spend to improve on the squad that we had last season. So it's only normal for us that we're still looking to make this squad a Premier League squad.
Okay. Do you want to do pre or post embargo this?
Can I ask one question pre-embargo and then embargo? Right. I don't know if this works for me, but with the Salford game, a lot's going to be made of the fact that the class is 92 and 50%. I think Nicky Butt and Roy Keane were there the other night. You obviously have big Man City connections. People talk about Man City United by proxy in terms of Burnley, Salford. Is that an angle that interests you, Vinny, or what would you feel about that?
No, I think this would enrage a lot of Salford City fans and a lot of Burnley fans. So absolutely not. It's Burnley Football Club against Salford. And I'm sure that the owners of Salford want the fans to be there to support Salford, and in our case, I'm representing Burnley, and that's the only thing I'm focused about.